This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Mark Magnuson.
Hello and welcome into Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today is Thursday, January 5th, 2023, and we're so glad you could join us for today's show. In today's episode, I will have the next installment of Between the Pods. I will speak with Michael Dolch. He is the Iowa Soybean Association Director of Public Affairs. And as always, we will also take a look at the ag weather outlook, but first, let's run down the markets.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
At the end of another trading day, we are joined by Tyler Schau of agmarket.net. Tyler, what did we see on the grain markets today?
It was another kind of a down day, really across the board. Had a little bit of a move up in wheat near the end of the day, but that was pretty much it. Awful brutal day yesterday in the grain markets. Actually, the last couple of days, pretty rough way to start off the new trading year. Corn attempted a rally overnight, really couldn't withstand it, and we really never got any news to really pick it up throughout the day. The ethanol report came out from the EIA today, and you got to take those numbers with a grain of salt for a couple of reasons. Christmas holidays, obviously the ethanol producer is going to slow down a little bit. Also had really poor weather in the northern plains for a couple of weeks, so pretty tough to get any kind of product moved, and in some cases impossible to get labor in to operate the plants at full capacity. Either way, we showed right now, to meet current USDA projections for the ethanol usage numbers for corn, we need to average about 102.3 million bushels per day of ethanol grind. And last week, our average was like 84.8 million bushels. So well under what we need to average in order to hit that USDA target. And that's what a lot of people are really looking at is exports and ethanol usage at this January 12th WASDE report, kind of seeing what the USDA does with that. So I think with that in the back of everyone's mind, seeing those numbers just made it really tough for corn to mount much of a rally. Beans, just, there's this constant argument going on between the bulls and the bears as to which is more important. We see Argentina numbers getting slashed for production based on their heat and their dryness. At the same time, we see Brazil going to plant a lot of acres, and right now seems to be in pretty good condition. So is the increase in production out of Brazil offset the decrease we're going to see out of Argentina? No one really knows the answer to that question. I guess we'll wait to find out. Wheat, really, like I said, big down day yesterday. Huge sales coming out of Russia. They're way under our price here in the United States. So in order for us to see any export traction, we're going to have to either see the overseas prices rise or our prices got to come down in order to spur some sales.
Tyler, back to a point you were on there a little bit ago about the overall picture for corn and just the demand for corn. Those numbers have been a little bit low for the demand for U.S. corn right now. Just how concerned are you in general about that?
It's definitely a concern. I will say that while the ethanol numbers were poor the last couple weeks, the ethanol margins are still good enough to keep these ethanol companies out there trying to find corn. I still am on the side of the camp that thinks the slowdown in ethanol grind the last 2 weeks had more to do with weather, road closures, and holidays, going on, just slowed down farmer deliveries, slowed down the ability for the ethanol plants to produce the product like they had been. So on that front, I'm not super scared about our ethanol usage going forward. I think it will pick back up. The exports is a little, that's one that we need to be paying close attention to. we need China to come in and buy. Some people are saying that we'll see it. They're going to step in. They're going to be buyers of corn here over the next 2 to 3 months. Time will tell. I guess, one of the adages that we tend to use is the only thing we trust out of China is cash prices. And so we'll see what they start doing. If they come in, they start buying some cash corn, then we'll know they're serious, and those are numbers we can trust.
And we're kind of at the mercy right now of just the news cycle with what we're learning about what's happening in China right now and the easing of those COVID restrictions as well. Tyler,
go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say the China story then with those easing of the restrictions, have we seen that demand, has it widened just since those, or has the demand gone up just since those restrictions have been relaxed a little bit?
Not yet. And part of that is because now the restrictions got relaxed and now they are dealing with an actual COVID problem, right? Massive number of COVID counts being reported. There again, who knows what to trust as far as the data coming out of that country goes. And that's what a lot of folks were predicting, that they ease up on the restrictions, COVID cases would balloon or skyrocket. They'd go through a pretty tough 1 to 2 month patch, but then they get over it. And then that's why a lot of people are saying over the next few months, that's probably when we'll see that export demand come from China to the U.S. South America will virtually be out of corn available for export. So we'll pretty much be the only player in town at that point. And the hope is we can make up a lot of export distance in that time frame. So it's kind of one of those, yes, the easing of COVID restrictions should be a benefit. There might be a little bit of short-term pain, and I think that's kind of what we're feeling right now. I will add that corn prices in China have actually increased the last 5 or 6 days by about the same margin that our corn prices have decreased. So their corn market has actually gone up while our corn market has been going down.
And Tyler, on the other side of the ag markets, how did the livestock side perform today in our closing numbers?
Hogs were still hogs today, still getting beat up. It's pretty tough to justify much higher futures prices on the hogs when the cutout's coming in at about $83, and you got February hogs sitting up there at 82.5. So there's not a lot of room to rally hogs. The cash index is clear down at like 79.06. So that's going to be a tough one to really push hogs much higher. It's pretty easy to see here that February hogs were a little bit overpriced there a week ago, 2 weeks ago. On the cattle numbers, you could say it was a little bit disappointing on feeders today, but we were down $1.50, whereas yesterday we were up almost $3. So given some of those gains back, and that's not uncommon, feeder cattle market is relatively low volume trade. So when everyone jumps to one side of the boat, it moves in pretty big fashions. And I think basically got a little overdone to the top side yesterday, gave some of it back. I don't think there's any reason yet to be alarmed on that feeder cattle side. Fats, I see kind of treading steady right here in that 160 range, 157 to 160, somewhere in that neighborhood over the next few weeks.
Tyler, there's a lot of moving parts we have to keep an eye on. And of course, the folks at agmarket.net do a great job of helping us keep in touch with everything that's going on. How can our viewers, our listeners get in touch for more great information?
Go to our website, agmarket.net. We publish a ton of intel. You can sign up for a 30-day trial of our ag intel. Check out our conference we're going to be holding in Nashville this first Sunday and Monday of February. And if you want to get a hold of me direct, my number is 701-987-6009.
He is Tyler Schau with agmarket.net. Tyler, thank you so much for the time, and we'll talk to you again soon.
You bet. Take care.
That was Tyler Schau with agmarket.net. Let's turn our attention now to the closing numbers, courtesy of the folks at Bar Chart. March corn is down 1 even at 652 3/4. December corn down 3 1/2 at 591 1/4. January soybeans down 11 1/2 at 1466 3/4. New crop November soybeans down 8 1/4 at 1382 1/2. Soybean meal for March up 220 at 464.90. Soybean oil for March down 43 cents at 62.42. Chicago wheat up 1 even at 754 3/4. Minneapolis wheat up 6 1/4 at 901 even, and Kansas hard red wheat down 1 1/4 at 835 1/4. May oats down 11 1/4 at 345 1/4. On the Merc, live cattle for February up 7 cents at 157.35. January feeder cattle down $1.42 at 183.80. February lean hogs down $1.55 at 82.52. February pork cutout up 12 cents at 90.62. Class 3 milk for January up 29 cents at 19.14. And that's been a check of the ag market recap. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break to hear from our sponsor here on this program, Ag Matters PM, and our sponsor, of course, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. And when we come back, I will talk with Michael Dolch with the Iowa Soybean Association. He is the Director of Public Affairs, and that will be next on Between the Pods. This is AMPM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today we have another edition of Between the Pods, brought to you solely by the Iowa Soybean Association. And today I will speak with Michael Dolch. He is Iowa Soybean Association Director of Public Affairs. We're going to talk about the 2022 Iowa legislative session and how it did yield some very positive results for both Iowa soybean farmers and soy advocates in 2022.
It's time to go between the pods with the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network and the Iowa Soybean Association. For the next year, we will explore the ways Iowa-grown soybeans are making a difference at home and around the world. Now, here's your host of Between the Pods, Mark Magnuson.
Mark Magnuson with the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, and I'm here with Michael Dolch today. He is the Director of Public Affairs with the Iowa Soybean Association. Michael, thanks for joining us here on Between the Pods, and I just want to ask you, first things first, did the Iowa Soybean Association, from your viewpoint, did soybean farmers, growers here in the state of Iowa, did they see some things happen policy-wise this year that were to their benefit?
Yeah, sure. And I'll start off with last state legislative session, actually, where we saw a really favorable legislature on agriculture issues, particularly biofuels, an effort led by Governor Kim Reynolds, backed by our farmer leadership and powered by our advocate membership across the state and other ag stakeholders, really brought to life ideas that's going to put Iowa first when it comes to biofuels production and also biofuels consumption.
So we're talking about the expanded, I would guess, then ability to create those fuels. Is that kind of what we're talking about when it comes to policy? Exactly
right. So moving tax incentives from lower blends to higher blends, again, to drive that demand, that consumption of more biodiesel in our case. As we all know, soybean oil here in the state is the number one feedstock for biodiesel production, not only here in Iowa, but across the Midwest and primarily across the U.S. as well. So really just trying to drive that demand overall and, again, return more value to the farmer's pocket for the product they produce.
Now, Michael, we know that corn ethanol that you're, as a consumer driving in your daily driver that you're putting into your car, you can get that. It is available, almost everywhere here in the Midwest, and it's something that's just become part of our daily lives. Do you foresee that we are kind of on the brink of having at least soy diesel involved in that arena, not necessarily as widespread as corn ethanol, just because that's probably not possible? I guess I don't know. I'll ask you that question. Is it possible, I guess, to even get kind of in the same ballpark when it comes to the widespread distribution?
Yeah, sure. And I think you pointed out the fundamental differences, obviously. But I think biodiesel is becoming more of a household name for the simple fact that in today's society, we're having a lot of conversations about climate, carbon reductions. Biodiesel is a fuel available today to help meet some of the administration's climate goals, some of Congress's climate goals, and honestly society's climate goals and carbon reductions. So yes, I do think there's going to be growing markets for biodiesel, whether we're looking at rail, marine, and even aviation with some of these sustainable aviation fuels that are being produced and coming online.
So then for the average Iowa soybean farmer, that just means more opportunities for their soybeans to go towards products that people use and they would use every day if it was a diesel product.
Absolutely, and I should make mention that with increased biodiesel, renewable diesel production, what that brings along is additional investment in soybean crush. That provides opportunities, additional market opportunities for our farmers across the countryside to, again, maintain more of that value for the product they produce.
Okay, then, Michael, was there anything else not diesel related, not soy oil related that caught your eye this year in the legislative session?
Yeah, I think, farmers here at ISA have been a long-time advocate for soil health, water quality conservation funding. It's an issue that will continue to persist. We've made tremendous progress across the state under the nutrient reduction strategy that was implemented many years ago. Again, we are seeing progress, but our farmers have identified opportunities for continued growth, scale up of conservation practices, and acceleration of those practices across the state. But primary driver is the funding mechanisms that help implement those practices. And something that we've worked over the last several years is the Natural Resources and Outdoor Recreation Trust Fund, commonly referred to as IWIL, Iowa Water Land Legacy. So again, that's a priority of Iowa Soybean Association's, a carryover from this past year and many years before that. And I do know the legislature this coming year is actually going to be focused on tax reform. So there may be some opportunities to at least educate new members, the new faces that we have in the legislature, about the importance of some of the conservation that's happening on the ground and what additional funding would do to, again, scale up and accelerate those practices.
Michael, I know we're focusing on Iowa farmers, of course, and Iowa legislative issues, but are other states as receptive to the ideas of their soybean farmers? Are they as willing to work hand in hand and make these things possible?
Yeah, I truly think so. And something that I've seen across the soybean complex, the soybean family, if you will, is an increased attention on collaboration. Even on the policy side, we have what we call the Midwest Soybean Collaborative. It's about a year and a half, almost 2 years old, but basically a policy and regulatory think tank where my policy counterparts from across the Midwest, we get together. We talk about some of the policy issues today, but more focused on those 3, 5, 10, 15 years down the road that our farmers are going to be facing. And how can we analyze that to the benefit of the farmer to essentially carry that through to policy. So I am seeing a lot of increased communication, a lot of increased collaboration. I think, based on the marketplace today and where we think it could potentially go, again, with some of the demand drivers we're seeing, I think there's going to be continued collaboration on that front.
Ben, nationally, what are you keeping an eye on? Is there anything that has, I guess, policy-wise, caught your eye for national issues, or I guess any other states in the country, something that maybe has interested you recently?
Yeah, I think, first and foremost, much like at the state level, we have a few new faces, fresh faces in Washington, D.C. that'll be sworn in early January. So it's a matter of educating those folks. Great opportunity to get in front of them and tell the Iowa farmer, Iowa soybean story, first and foremost. But again, opportunities to weigh in on Farm Bill priorities. Our farmers are always looking to protect the crop insurance provisions. They're looking to improve the farm safety net. Opportunities to grow market access for the soybean, whether that's on the meal side or the oil side we talked about. Biomass-based products, bio-based products, looking for growth opportunities there. So again, with some of these new members of Congress, one being from Iowa, I think we'll have some really good opportunities to educate them going forward.
And we'll probably see a lot of that work take place in the Farm Bill during the next session of Congress. But is there any indication then, some of those things that you just mentioned, that people are either receptive to, maybe they're pushing back against a little bit? Do you think that for Iowa soybean farmers, the ISA, do you think that this Farm Bill is going to be something that is going to, I think, go the way that they hope it will?
Yeah, and I think when you look at farm bills passed and the lessons learned, we don't see a revolutionary legislation by any means. I think it'll be somewhat evolutionary. And again, through the Midwest Soybean Collaborative and our work with other states and here in-house with our advocate membership, again, really powered by our advocate membership, surfacing, what's working, what's not, I know oversight is going to be a priority of the new Congress, the new majority, at least on the House side in Washington, D.C. And so really a good opportunity for us to say what's working, what's not, and how can we arrive at a better bill. And I really think, probably not something that we want to rush by any means. We want to do it and we want to do it right, but ample opportunity for our farmers to weigh in on the issues that are important to them, and I mentioned a few of those.
Michael, is there anything else you'd like to let our audience, our viewers know about when it comes to policy decisions that are being made right now, maybe things they should just be aware of, keeping an eye on?
Yeah, I think, I could rattle off a laundry list of issues that Iowa Soybean Association has really been engaged on, again, from the biofuel, biodiesel aspect to protection of various crop protection products, just to make sure they have the tools in the toolbox to grow a crop season after season. Again, working on the trade front, trying to again expand various emerging markets while maintaining our current market access in countries, and promote the sustainability of the crop that's grown here in Iowa. I think is a major hot button issue for us. And I should also make mention really quick, again, and I've talked about our advocate membership. But if we've got farmers listening that want to be involved in the process, strongly encourage them to reach out. We've got opportunities for them to weigh in as advocate members, have a direct say in the process, or quite honestly, allow us to do that on their behalf. We know farmers are busy on their day-to-day operations, so we're more than happy to take that torch and carry it to Des Moines or out in D.C.
And if they did want to get in touch or they had a comment to make to you, what would be the best way for them to go about and do that?
Sure. My information's online at iasoybeans.com. Log in, drop me a note, or they can call the office directly and patch me through to the phone, and I'm more than happy to have that conversation with them.
Michael Dolch, Public Affairs Director here with the ISA. Michael, thank you so much for the time here on Between the Pods, and have a great rest of your week.
Appreciate it very much. Thanks for having me.
That was Michael Dolch, Iowa Soybean Association Director of Public Affairs. As for right now, let's take a look at the ag weather outlook. It's a little bit quiet here in central Iowa as far as our weather is concerned over the past couple of days. We've had some very light snow flurries, some cold temperatures, but that's to be expected at this point of the year. And it's not been too cold. That's the most important part. And as we turn our attention to tonight, it's going to be a fairly mild night of weather around the state of Iowa, partly cloudy skies becoming less cloudy as the night progresses. And as we get ready for tomorrow, I'm already starting to get a little bit excited. It is going to be a very nice day tomorrow around most of the state of Iowa, and we should have some very comfortable temperatures. So let's turn our attention now to the National Weather Service and what it has in store for the next 24 hours. As you can see from the National Weather Service, today mostly cloudy skies and overcast around most of the state of Iowa. Light snow chances are present in central and eastern Iowa. High temperatures today around the state 23 to 35, the range for expected highs. Tonight, partly cloudy and decreasing clouds, should be a fairly mild evening with temperatures lows 7 to 24 around the state of Iowa. Now tomorrow looking to be a very nice day. Tomorrow mostly sunny with high temperatures expected in a range of 24 all the way up to 45 degrees tomorrow as we get ready to see temperatures tomorrow in the mid-40s in places around the state. And turning our attention to our affiliate weather map for tomorrow, Cherokee enjoying those mostly sunny skies hopefully tomorrow up in northwest Iowa where they've gotten a lot of snow recently. 24 the expected high. Shenandoah, it will be a different story in southwest Iowa. 42 expected to be the high tomorrow. Des Moines, also mostly sunny with highs around 35. Albia, hoping to enjoy a nice Friday afternoon with an expected high around 37. Waterloo 30 and Clinton, a high temperature on Friday of around 34. For a more detailed forecast in your part of the state, make sure you check with your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliate. And that's been a check of the Ag Weather Outlook. That also brings us to the end of this episode of Ag Matters PM. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. And you can find our video content and previous episodes of AMPM on our YouTube channel. Don't forget our free, twice daily market podcast, which can be found on Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the IARN studios in Des Moines, I'm Mark Magnuson. On behalf of Riley Smith and Dustin Huffman, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.